Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing great. It's a beautiful
Good
morning
morning
here in Nashville.
Hello. Thank you for coming on today. We have a really special presentation today. We're so glad that you joined.
All right, we'll get started here, and just really excited for you guys to get to meet Owen. He's an amazing guy who's come back from cancer not once, but twice, and just such a powerful story, a believer into natural health, just a powerhouse of information. And he's also a video expert, and he's actually doing some work with us on that. But mostly we're excited for you to hear his story. And when I mentioned that April is our theme around stress, he said, man, stress during cancer, definitely I can talk about that. So I'm sure he's also going to share a little bit about that journey. And yeah, we'll start with the disclaimer, and then we'll introduce Owen. John,
Awesome.
you ready?
Oh,
You're up radio voice.
All right. So the WAVwatch 2.0 is a low-risk wearable wellness device intended to support general health and self-care. It meets the FDA's criteria for a general wellness product, and it's designed for non-medical use only. The WAVwatch 2.0 is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease and has not been evaluated by the FDA. Its acoustic frequencies are experimental and non-therapeutic.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.
So I'm not going to read the full bio. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how I met Owen. John and I were at a conference in Miami, a biohacking conference of some sort, I'm sure. And we had opted for a breakfast. And I saw this guy across the table and heard, oh, I've come back from cancer. I was like, I got to know more. We talked for just a few minutes. I shared the WAVwatch with him, and he had to run out the door to another conference and jump on a plane. So we didn't get to talk long. We talked by phone next week and had an hour-long conversation, just discovered all these commonalities in faith and health. And I heard some of his amazing story and knew that at some point he would be sharing with you guys. Finally excited. That is today. And as you can read from his bio, he was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal thymoma cancer. The doctors told him there's nothing he could do but just go home, get his affairs in order. He refused to accept that diagnosis and begin a journey to discover how other terminal cancer patients beat their diagnosis naturally. And he ended up beating cancer with no chemo in 2 years. So he's got an amazing platform that we'll be sharing links to today for those of you who want to know more about him and what he does. And yeah, so without further ado, we're going to turn off the slides and bring Owen to the stage. Welcome, Owen. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Hi, guys. Man, Joseph, you're a regular Dick Clark, man. You're like hosting.
Oh, yeah.
You're like Ryan.
American Bandstand. Yeah.
I know. It's good, man.
Man, so glad to have you. And just, I know you got your awesome microphone and your professional studio, and you do this all the time. We are new to the game and love just interviewing people and hearing stories. So what would be great for me is just tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll get into the backstory.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Owen Hemsath, but I'm known online as Cancer Thriver Owen is how my community knows me. I've actually been a YouTube coach and creator for 15 years. Wow. And I was very well known. I am very well known in the YouTube space. I host a large YouTube conference. I'm the MC for that conference in Dallas, Texas. I've been doing that for 10 years. So that's just to give you a backdrop of like why I've got the setup that I have and why I have the microphone. And when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2015, it was very public for me. It was something that I knew as an influencer that I had to broadcast. I had to share it with people. And it's an interesting place to be in when you're like, I can't keep this a secret. I didn't have at that time, and nor do I have necessarily like the quiet, simple life. I have a very public facing life. And I feel like that's part of my mission and it's part of my calling. So I was diagnosed in 2015, and the diagnosis was stage 3 thymoma. And I did everything that they told me to do, guys. I didn't know anything about metabolic health. I was not going to biohacker conferences at this time, man. I was just making videos and doing live streams and having a great time and working my fingers to the bone. And really that's what it was for me. It was this workaholism that sort of caused me to collapse. And I got my diagnosis, and my wife tried to get me to get into some more holistic and alternative stuff. And I I was like, no, the doctor said they can give me this Zapparoonie and I can just do a year of what they said to do. And then it will all be over, right? Like the big promise of it will all be over. That's not exactly what happened at all. I did all of their therapies. I suffered through those therapies. And that's when my sorrows began, was after all of that. And so I went through a period of just in and out of the hospital visits and blood flow issues. I want to be careful with the words that we use while we're live streaming, but my blood would not flow through my body. And that's because the radiation had fried parts of my vascular system.
Wow.
And that continued for 4.5 years until I collapsed again. And they told me that's it. Stage 4, terminal, metastatic. And what was interesting is no one apologized. Nobody took responsibility. Nobody was like, here's a refund, or they did a very heartfelt, I think it's shocking for, we're so sorry, go get your affairs in order kind of thing.
Sorry, we can't help you now.
And that was it. And they sent me home. And that's when I realized I was going to have to do things a different way. And so that's how I got here. That's how I got into this place. And then everything changed.
So this was 2015. You first had it. You did the chemo, the mainstream route, and then it came back 2019.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it came back. This is one of the things that I talk about a lot on my Instagram channel, is it never went away. The therapies that they gave to me, which we're all very familiar with, is like trimming the branches on a tree, right? But the tree is still there. It just can't be detected anymore, or it's so much less, and they've already given you the legal amount, which was the case for me. They gave me the full legal amount. So there was nothing more for me to do. And I feel like God really used that. God really showed me that I went to the peak of what man could do for me. I was already a believer, faithful follower in Jesus at that time, but I had no idea what it meant to truly trust God. And you get to this place where it's like you do everything, the best of what man has to offer, and it's only more disappointment.
Oof.
That's what I took into prayer. And Robert Duvall in The Apostle kind of prayer. I don't know if you guys remember that movie. I'm a movie guy, right? So Robert Duvall's like in this great movie from the 90s called The Apostle, and he's like screaming at God, why would you do this? Why would you? That was me, man. So why would you do this, God? And unfortunately, he didn't say anything back. You know what I mean? I find that like we get those responses in the still small moments. And that's what happened. Is about a day later, I was sitting depressed in my chair. It's still the same chair we have right now. I want to burn that chair sometimes, but I feel like there's also memories in that chair. So it's like we keep the chair. It's the chair where God told me. And here's what you want to know what God said to me, guys. And I don't mean to turn this into like church. We all just went to Easter. I know some of you guys like you're churched out right now, but this is just my faith story. This is legit what I went through.
Yeah.
And I'm not a faith YouTuber. I'm not a Christian YouTuber. I'm a guy trying to do my thing, what I love. And I followed the Lord. And he said to me in that moment, Owen, get up and beat this cancer. And I'll tell you, I think the Lord is more gentle with certain people, but for me, like I needed to hear the words of leadership. I needed to hear that father that I never had. I needed to hear that from a father that's, you have everything you need to beat this. And all of a sudden with that small word, all of this stuff came into my mind. All of this stuff that was like, wait, other people have beat cancer. Wait a minute. There was a story about a guy. Didn't we watch a movie where this girl, she ate grass and drank grass juice? And it's okay. There are people out there who have miraculously beat cancer. I'm going to go find them. And that's what I did. Is I went online. I did what I know how to do. I know how to use online. I know how to use social media. I know how to use YouTube to find the answers that the doctors wouldn't tell me. And what I found was a whole community of cancer survivors. We actually call them thrivers. Cancer thrivers who are not bald and broken and trying to repair, but who are healthy and vibrant, some in remission, some still with active cancer in their bodies, but it gets less and less every year. And cancer, here's what I learned. I learned that cancer is not a death sentence. In fact, we've been taught it is, so that our expectations are low when we go into traditional systems. And I began a holistic alternative path to wellness. And within 90 days, I was symptom-free. Zero symptoms of I had myasthenia gravis, and I had these other and my tumors began to shrink. The first scan I got, which is like 3-4 months in, 30% reduction in my total overload. My tumor load, 30% reduction in 90 days. So
wow.
I just kept going, man. And I just kept doing what I was doing. And today I'm cancer free. I've been cancer free for 2 years and change. It's changed my life. It's changed the focus of my life. And what I want to do is I want to see people get better.
Well, man, such a powerful story. I just picture you the day after a terminal diagnosis, like you said, sitting on a chair, crying out to God in frustration, and then he speaks. And of course, he says that he gives us everything we need for life and godliness, but he also says he loves us and he takes care of us and he'll heal us. But in your case, he said, I've given you what you need. You know how to do stuff online. There are other people that have done this. So he pushed you in a way to seek that out. And what kind of things did you start to discover? I know I'm sure it would take hours to tell all this stuff, but anything that, if you could summarize for somebody that's wanting to pre-cancer, thinking about prevention, or if they do have a diagnosis, what are some of the real keys that you could share with people on how that natural journey looked like?
Yeah. Great question. And Mike's asking questions about my program. I do have a group support program, and James is out there, and I can see Sharon and Doug, and hey guys, it's good to see you. Now, the big thing I discovered was the term metabolic health. Okay. This is the big thing that I discovered. And what metabolic health is. And I'll tell you, that didn't come right off the bat. That wasn't the first thing I learned. I started studying the stories of survivors. And that's a big one for me, is what do you want out of your journey? Find people who have done that, right? Who have overcome X to achieve Y. So I wanted to find people that have overcome cancer to achieve, longer life. I wasn't even trying to survive it or beat it or be this big advocate, not at all. So maybe I could get 5 more years. So as I began it was like I learned about starving cancer. What does that mean to starve cancer? And then I learned about cancer, fuel supplies or fuel sources.
Okay.
And it's like you keep coming back to how your body processes internal and external stimuli, food, but also external toxins in the air and lotions you put on your skin. How does your body process all of that and turn it into good energy or bad energy? That's metabolic health. That's what it means to me, is everything you eat, everything that your skin comes in contact with, your body will filter and process. And it either makes, I think of a factory just pumping out widgets, perfect widgets, but then there's a deformed widget. If you don't push those off the assembly line, it's like the one bad apple. It's like you're eating food and it's either turning into healthy cells or it's turning into deformed cells. And you can know that. It's knowable for you. And your body gives you, so I'm going into more stuff, but it's like your body is made to heal. And your metabolic health will turn everything around. The same things that I did to beat my cancer were the same things a guy with lung cancer did. Same things people with brain cancer do. Same thing people with ovarian cancers do. And it's in different amounts, and there's a timing aspect to it, but it's not a razor's edge. You walk the path that survivors walked, you are very likely to survive. When my oncologist showed me her options, I looked around that room and I saw a bunch of dying people. And I'm like, if I stay here, I'm going to become like one of these people. And I want what those guys have.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I know on your YouTube, you've got a link to your keto vegan guide, is that a big part of the metabolic health journey you mentioned, is the inputs?
Which, say again?
Your keto vegan guide on your
Yeah.
YouTube?
Yeah. So there was a book written called Radical Remission. Dr. Kelly Turner. She interviews 1,500 people globally who were medically categorized as radical remission. So radical remission is someone who their cancer goes away without the traditional approaches.
Okay.
And what the hospital system does is they put them in this category called radical remission. They're put onto a file. That file is then buried in the desert. And so people who get better are not tracked in the hospital system. That's my point, is they're not tracked. They're discarded as outliers, unexplainables. Instead of saying 3% of my patients actually experience a radical remission. Like Audrey is talking about her oncologist was pushy, full of stats and fear. 100% my experience, 100%. In fact, my oncologist told me, I said, I don't want to do any more CT scans. It's too much radiation. She goes, you're not going to live long enough to get a radiation cancer. And that's when I was like, oh, yes, I am. And you think about what you're saying to is, I will live long enough to get, no way. I'm not going to go sit in your CT scans for the rest of my life. I didn't go back to the hospital after that. I haven't been back to a hospital since. And I'm the healthiest, most vibrant I've been in years, man. Honestly, since my early 30s, maybe late 20s. And I have a dramatic story of abuse and drugs and alcohol. Like my 20s weren't great either. So anyway, going back to your question, the keto vegan guide, food changed everything for me. And it was so hard for me to believe. I had to read a book called Radical Remission, which is about these remission patients and what they did. And she found 9 similarities between all 1,500. And the number one similarity was radical diet change.
Okay.
So I'm listening to that book on Audible and I'm going, okay, how can I radically change my diet? So I start looking up diets for cancer patients. What should cancer patients eat? And I'm looking up William Lee's video, Eat to Beat Disease. And then I'm looking up Chris Wark and Chris Beat Cancer and the juicing protocols. But I thought juice had sugar and I couldn't figure this all out. And that's when I met my doctor, Dr. Jake, who is an incredible naturopathic doctor. And he prescribed me a keto vegan diet. Okay. So I began to look up the keto vegan diet. It is very challenging. It's like Audrey's talking about sugar-free. Sugar-free, no, there's no fruit sugar on the keto. Ketosis is about keeping your body in a certain, where you're burning fat, not sugar for fuel, because there's no sugar in your body. Hopefully your liver's emptied all the sugar, and it is a very challenge. Then it's vegan, so it's plant-based. You hear a lot of these keto guys eating bacon and eggs all the time. I'm not sure that's the right. Keto is like whole foods, low fat, high protein, low to no sugar. And plant-based, keto vegan, whoa. My wife and I struggled, man. I remember like falling on the floor, like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber after he gets robbed at the grocery store. And he's like, that was me on the floor. I can't eat this way. I can't eat artichokes every night. And my wife and I began to explore keto vegan recipes and guidebooks. And so we made one. We made a shopping guide, which I feel is so much easier. It's like, just go buy these things and have these things in your house. Eat combinations of those things. That made it easy. People ask, what do you eat on a keto vegan diet? And I was just like, artichoke, avocado.
Avocado.
It's like a whole food. It's not even like meals necessarily. We bought these recipe books that were like these. You could make these keto vegan dishes that had 56 ingredients in them, and it's
so complicated.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. But lettuce, avocado, tomato, olive oil, boom, easy. Yeah,
salad, right?
Yeah. So diet and fasting were like 2 huge components for me. We made that into the keto vegan guidebook.
And so the link that I shared was your keto vegan guidebook. So it's a shopping list, but also recipes.
There's a couple recipes in there to get you started,
Okay.
but we really stress with ChatGPT now, we're adding more because we uploaded the guide to ChatGPT and we're like, hey, make us recipes just based on what's on this shopping guide. And oh my gosh, it actually came up with stuff that we did. So changing your diet, changing what your body has to make cells. Like if you give the brick maker bad clay,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're going to have bad bricks. And I believe that we as a culture have been taught to trust a lab coat over our own eyes and ears. And you're eating garbage. But my doctor said if I'm diabetic, I could eat cheesecake. It's a perfect food. It's 30% fat, 30% carb. That is, look at that is your fuel. That's what your cells will be made of. You change that, everything else follows from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend who is raw vegan, and he's lost 150 pounds, and he's like you, very healthy, healthier than his younger years. And he has friends that say, if I would just rather die than eat like you. And it's
you
not
may
easy.
just get that.
Yeah. Maybe just so people can wrap their heads around it. What's like a typical breakfast or lunch on a raw keto? You mentioned salad already, but is there something else?
You call it salad. I call it lettuce, tomatoes, and avocado. Sure. And that way I can add pumpkin seeds to it. And it's different. Oh, yeah. It's a little different. But there's a big salad component to it. There's also like roasted vegetables where you're just putting a plate of broccoli into the oven and letting it brown. So it's not necessarily raw. I wasn't necessarily a raw vegan guy, but plants and vegetables are the healing mechanism built into the intelligence of our universe. Like when God made the world and everything in it, he gave us every plant and herb bearing seat for medicine and food. And I'm not an anti-meat guy and I'm not keto vegan anymore. It is a therapeutic diet. Right. I did the diet for a year and a half and got my cancer super stable. I had my cancer under control.
Wow.
And I got tired of having it show up on tests. So that's when I switched to juicing and I went on a juicing diet. I was doing like 40 ounces of fresh squeezed raw juices every day. Now I did that coupled with some therapy to deal with the trauma. And within 6 months, I had a cancer-free test result.
Wow. You just answered my next question, which was going to be the emotional health side of this. So you mentioned to me that stress was a big part of this, and now you've just alluded. What was the mental health side of this, and what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I didn't realize that I was mentally unhealthy. I have been like, pull yourself up from your own bootstraps. I can do this type of guy, while also being very vulnerable in Bible groups and home groups. And I'm not a lone wolf, right? I'm in a community, but how many people in your community are building YouTube channels for a living? How many people in your community are regular contributors to the news, right? Like I was in community, but I wasn't in community with people that I thought could help me do anything, right? These are prayer buddies and church buddies and golf buddies and whatnot, this kind of thing. So I didn't have a lot to pull from when I got sick. And my life was already stressful when I got sick. I believe that stress brought me to my knees and brought me to a place where I needed to go to the ER, where they found the tumor after we begged them to give us a CT scan. They sent us away 4 times.
Wow.
And and then my wife said, we are not leaving till or we get a CT scan. And so we stayed there all night. About midnight, they gave us a CT scan. And they found what they found. Again, no apologies. No one was like, oh, we're so sorry. We were wrong about nothing like that. But I remember thinking, and this is what's relevant, I think, to the question about mental health and stress is like when they gave me the diagnosis, there was no sense of victory, faith, or conquering. There was only this one thought, which is, and that's the story of Owen. That's what my mind kept saying. And that's the story of Owen. And that revealed to me years later a sense of, I didn't feel very important. And I didn't feel that my life had amounted to anything. I had 4 kids at this time, a successful business, but like they say, a man with a health problem has only one wish.
Get healthy.
Yeah. And it was just like, what a waste of my life. I've been like burning the candle at both ends for what? Similarly, the second time I got cancer, I was just beaten up on myself. The way that I spoke to myself in my mind was very negative and what I would call realistic. Like, we realistic people are often pessimists in disguise. Masquerading as realists. I'm just realistic. It's not going to go well. And it's like that shows that you have a pattern of disbelief in your own ability to accomplish things or in things to go well for you.
Wow.
And I kept reading in like the cancer books is like mental health. And I stayed away from it for a long time, guys. I didn't want anything to do. So what I did is I took the stress that got me into cancer, and then I began to apply that stress to a holistic alternative lifestyle. I'm going to eat everything correctly. I'm going to have only the right things. I'm going to track every number. I'm going to grow a YouTube channel about this. We're going to show it to everybody. And it didn't take long before all that fell apart.
Oh.
I just want to emphasize, Owen, what you've been saying, how important our emotions are and stress. They do know that emotions are tied to every disease that there is, and we tend to downplay it and don't even pay any attention to it. But if we paid as much attention to balancing our emotions as we did to balancing our food, they really do go hand in hand. And I'm sure that's what you're going to tell us, or what you found out, maybe.
It is what I found out. And it's, my wife handles stress differently than I do. So in some ways better, in some ways not better. But I watched her go through the same things I went through, but interpret them differently and react to them differently. We all, like, the way stress is not about what's happening in your life. It's how you think about what's happening in your life. And it's how you decide to process it. And for me, there was this, like, and my therapist, Megan, said this, right? I went to see a cancer therapist. Like, I'm also very arrogant. So I'm like, not just anybody can help me. I'm a YouTube star. Like, guys, I'm not a big YouTube star. Like, I've been able to have a great career on YouTube, and I've never been extremely well known to the public. I'm well known in certain circles.
Right. But
a little fame, even in the neighborhood, man, it can really go to your head and affect the way I'm the neighborhood president. Like, it, even that there's a way we have to act in our neighborhood, right? All of these things came to fruition after multiple tests and the cancer hadn't gone away and other people's cancer had gone away. I was helping other people get cancer-free in 6 months. And it's, man, now I believe that's pretty fast. I think 2 years now is about a good average time for people who do the work. And I see so many people who don't do the work or do half of the work for years. And you're not going to get the results that way, guys. Like, you do have to treat your healing, whether it's autoimmune cancer or even from a divorce. You got to treat your healing like a part-time job, like a full-time job. And that's what began to happen. What Megan had said to me was this. She goes, it's not just broccoli. It's not just the food that you're eating. There's a way that you think. There's a way that you are, a way of being. Bible calls it Torah. Believe it or not, it's the same. Even Torah means way of life. And it's this multiply beautiful, complex word for, yes, the way you ought to live, Torah. It also means the law, which is what? It's like the rules that you abide by. But Torah also, it's used in Psalms 116 to talk about, you show me the way of life. You show me the Torah. There's a way of being that we all ascribe to. I'm not talking about religion anymore, where you're deep down telling your body how to process the cells and grow and heal at a deep level. Crazy thing is like your body, I mean, your brain is telling your body to make that mitochondria deformed. Whoa. Oh, and now you're blaming the victim. Oh, and cancer is genetics. I got it from my mom. Show me a cancer gene. BRCA's not a cancer gene. BRCA's a correlative sort of thing here. Cancer's not in your genes, guys. There, and again, this is like 5%, maybe 5% of cancers have a deep gene connection. But cancer is an internal issue. And it's ultimately what I came to is my brain is telling my body to create these cells. I imagined a hamster on a wheel because there's not much going on up there. And I need the hamster to start going the other direction. I need my brain to start telling myself wonderful, positive, true things because I'm not a fluff guy. I knew I couldn't tell myself lies. Owen, you're extremely good looking. Or Owen, you have a muscular physique. That's a good one. No one's ever going to say, Owen's got a real muscular physique. You know what I mean? Sometimes I look like a Muppet when I'm fasting, but I'm joking, obviously.
Yes.
Lighten the situation. But my point is that I couldn't tell myself lies just because they were positive. I had to find true things that I could tell myself that would cause my brain to think differently, to think more positively. Because I learned this, man. Every thought that I had about myself was negative and was, in the end, Owen's going to get screwed. In the end, Owen's just this ghetto kid from LA, right? Owen's just a kid whose parents didn't love him. And there's truth in that. But look, like, it's time to change that thinking. But like now it's like I'm redeemed, right? I'm a son of the living God, right? Like I've got this whole list of affirmations, and they're not all from the Bible. Some of them are derived from the Bible, but for me, the place of truth where I would find out who I really was came from the Word of God. And so I began to create affirmations along with seeing my therapist, Megan, who shared my values and belief. Megan's she works with cancer patients and like sick people. And she's great, man. We did these sessions where we unpacked these memories from my childhood that I never dealt with. And guess what I found when I dealt with those memories? First of all, I found some freedom. But second of all, I found that I never dealt with my first cancer diagnosis trauma. I never dealt with the fact that the doctors never apologized to me after destroying my body and it doing nothing. There was no positive benefit to the medicines that they put me through. Zero positive benefit for me. And I carried, and then to get diagnosed again, and the doctors to be like, that's a pity. And nothing. They didn't care.
Yeah.
And it's these people don't care about. I never dealt with that trauma. It's once I dealt with some of this stuff, it brought me up to speed. And it's like, I don't deal with big situations well. I hold on to them. I bury them. And so there was this dealing with what's in the past. Okay. Wow. Because what's in the past helps you process what's coming in the future. And keep in mind, friends, you're on your way out of a battle or you're on your way into a battle. And I got this sense, I remember having this sense of, life is just hard all the time. And I was living this dream of someday I'm going to have this movie star celebrity YouTube life. And then I look at Will Smith and he was just in an interview with Lecrae and he goes, I had all those things. I had everything the material world could offer and I was still miserable.
Yeah.
We've heard this before, right? From other people. So dealing with stuff from the past because it was affecting the way I was interpreting stuff in the future and getting that part changed so that I could change the way I deal with trauma now has revolutionized everything for me.
Wow.
I just love that you're saying that again, Owen, because trauma, they've proven that 3 years is the average time that somebody can develop cancer after a trauma.
Really?
Yes, there is that statistic out there. So everybody's dealing with some kind of trauma, but how do we deal with it? And what do we let it do to us? So we are absorbing it. And you just phrase it so completely. You have to take care of that trauma. All of us do.
Yeah.
So we all need support in our emotions, no matter which way or what way we're trying to support our emotions. We always need more.
And yes, and here's what I actually love about the WAVwatch is there is emotional support frequencies, but there are also organ support frequencies. And the way we think about healing matters, right? Because I want to separate. You also can't just think about things differently and heal, right? I don't believe that either. You do have to add the broccoli to it, right? Broccoli is figurative for health changes. And so it's this delicate balance. And so like when I do, look, sound healing and frequency healing is not new to cancer patients. Like anybody who has been diagnosed recently has in the last 5 years has seen a post or a thread about sound healing, frequency healing. If you're on the scientific side, you've seen it. If you're on the woo side, and I'm in between, guys. Like I gravitate a little bit towards the woo-woo stuff a little bit. It's more fun than the science stuff. But my point is that it's thinking about, okay, so emotional wellness, okay, frequencies coupled with frequencies for the liver, frequencies for the kidneys, right? So that I'm dealing with the mind and the body. And that I believe is the pathway to all healing. I don't believe, there's all different ways to heal. There's not. In my view, there's one way to heal, and it usually doesn't include toxic poisons that came from mustard gas.
Yeah. So true. And just there are a few, thank you. I love the mind, body, spirit, even if you could think about that. You've been talking a lot to your purpose, and there's a higher calling that God's given you. And one thing I noticed, a few of the comments have talked a little bit about parasites and heavy metals. Can you speak to that at all in your journey? Was that just a byproduct? Was there a detox process or fasting?
Detox was everything. In fact, tumors, what are tumors? Now, not every cancer has a tumor component to it, right? But all cancers have a deformed mitochondria to it, right? But let's go to the tumors. Tumors are what, right? Aliens attacking your body? No, man, a tumor is nothing but a garbage bag that's stuck in your system. Your body has taken all the toxins and all this bad stuff in order to protect you and has clumped it together in a garbage bag that is either going to grow with more garbage or you're going to find a way to push it out, pump it out. So detoxing was the first step for me. And that's where the diet change comes in, is like eating foods that support a detoxification lifestyle. I use zeolite as well. I didn't learn about, so heavy metal detoxing was big on my mind immediately after joining the holistic cancer community, because I learned I still had neuropathy from 5 years earlier. Yeah, dude, 5 years still dealing with neuropathy. And it's okay, I need to do a heavy metal detox and get this remaining chemo out of my body. So I did that. That was like, first thing I did was work on detox and sweating. I got a sauna and I got what's called a vibe plate. It's like this vibrating plate that, you know, in the beginning I was too weak to run. I don't use it anymore because running or rebounding will accomplish the same or similar thing. And I sit in a sauna and I'll dry brush and just squeeze out the limbs, man. I even have an ozone machine here now for deep detoxification. So I'm like, I wonder if you guys can see it. I've got like a hyperbaric chamber right there. And then I've got my ozone right next to it. Detoxing was huge. I didn't learn about parasites until later on, after I had connected with Chris Wark in the juicing community. And look, that's a community I really love. And I really believe in and trust Chris Wark. Although I struggle in communities that are based around thing like juicing, because they don't let you talk about anything else. And there was more to my healing than just juicing. And it wasn't just one guy's recipe either. It was lots of different recipes. But you get into these groups and you start talking about X, and they're like, hey, you're not allowed to talk about that thing here. This is a juicing group or whatever. And it's, man, like, I'm not into that kind of thing. That's why I started my own group, because I wanted to be in a place where we weren't committed to any one thing, but each other, and just getting each other through the process. Parasites, and that has become like almost the forefront focus of my life right now, is like parasites and viral just cleanses. I have not struggled with parasites personally, to my knowledge, although I've done cleanses. But I've never seen anything that led me to believe, oh, there it is, or anything like that. But it's still a good idea. Viral infections, on the other hand, are textbook for me and my upbringing and kind of the trauma profile of people who've gone through what I've gone through. Poor liver function, and which leads to viral infection. Even recently, man, I'm dealing with megalo, pneumonia, and cytomegalo, and one other one. It's the bad one. Overwhelming to me. Overwhelming. How could I, after all of this therapy, still be dealing with viruses? But it's the journey. It's healing is an onion, right? Like I dealt with the cancer was the big immediate problem. That was the first layer. And then as I got to that, I found this viral infection, this like chronic viral problem that led me to an even deeper, like a gut liver. I think it has more to do with my gut and food reactions that feel like liver issues, but it's those Russian dolls, man. It's just, there's a smaller one inside. And I believe that at some point I'll get to a place where healing is not in the forefront of my mind, but it's absolutely, today I'm not eating the same way. Cancer is not my biggest concern right now. Right now, my concern has more to do with my gut and getting into a place. If I have just the tiniest bit of food dye, like I ate a Jelly Belly and I was in pain for 4 hours, 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, you have to, that wasn't like that before during cancer. So it's this onion, it's this delicate thing, and we're dealing with it all. What I find, getting to the parasites and the viruses, getting to the root of it.
Oh, and I don't know if you've had your WAVwatch long enough, but have you been able to use it for parasites?
That's one of my regular routines. Yeah. One of my regular routines is for parasites. And I cycle between just kind of like nominal wellness, right? Like parasite, liver wellness, and then peaceful and calming. Tell you, I put on peaceful and calm the other day, and my family was like, who is this guy? Yeah, it's pretty incredible. The power of sound frequencies, I think, especially when you're using the right one. I'm super impressed with what the WAVwatch has done for us. And it's in this community, there's a whole lot of trinkets and gadgets and gizmos, like Ariel and the Little Mermaid. Like it's a dingle hopper or whatever. And there's stuff I don't believe in, man. There's stuff that seems so niche. But sound healing is very well established. But I have to go to the bowls class, or I have to have earphones in my head all night listening to some. I don't even know if that frequency on the YouTube video that I'm listening to is actually coming out of the headphones at the same frequency versus the watch, which goes directly on the wrist. You can actually hear it working if it's not tight enough. And you have to be like, okay, I'm going to check, how do I feel in an hour, in 2 hours? Yeah. So it's been a great device. It's been a great tool.
Oh, awesome, man. So thankful for you. And I'm just so encouraged hearing your story, and challenged also to think about my own journey in health, not physical, mental, spirit. And any last, maybe something that we didn't get to that you wanted to share with people on your journey, anything else that we didn't cover, and then we'll wrap up soon.
I wanted to, I think, just reiterate that dealing with stress for me came about with a whole change of the way of life that I was living. For me, it's tone it down. I think for a lot of people, it's tone it up. I think a lot of people, you guys are naturally, guys, let me tell you a quick story about Marlon, who recently passed away. Marlon reached out to me maybe 3 months ago, told me that he was sick, and we began working on some stuff, and he just dragged his feet, man. It was just kind of, oh yeah, I bought that, haven't done it. his wife called me. She's, hey, he's not doing anything. And like he passed away on Easter Sunday, or at least that's when they announced it. And it's a hard thing to do, to walk with the wounded as I do. We lose friends it happens often enough. But here's the thing. Yeah. It's never the people that take their healing, natural healing, seriously. It's never those people. It's the 1 foot in, 1 foot outs that don't make it. So dealing with stress, like in all of that, is a change of the way you're interpreting your life. For me, I had to deal with some past issues in order to fix the glasses, I was viewing the world and myself. And once I fixed those glasses, I was really surprised. I was really surprised how my self-talk improved. And just, I would say to my things like, you can do this. And it doesn't stick forever, guys. I was on a walk this morning and I was like, oh, this stupid economy. And it's all these people. Oh, they're all wrong. They're all wrong about their opinions. And it's just like, I had to remember, no, I can achieve all things. No, God has been victorious in my life. He'll be victorious again. Like you have to prime that pump and you'll get it moving. You get it moving in the right direction, but it'll get rusty and you got to prime it again. So for me, it's this never ending self-improvement that might drive some people nuts, but it keeps me on my toes.
Oh man. Wow. No, that's amazing. And just, take every thought captive, right? There's no day when we can't work through the challenges of garbage on social media or in our own minds, like you said, or past stuff. There's always, it's an active life and challenge to be healthy and whole. We're going to wrap up. And Owen, I think I've been sharing your links throughout. Yeah. Are there any other links you'd like to, if people want to work with you or know more about what you do, is it the Beat Cancer With Me? Is that the best one?
Yeah. beatcancerwithme.com is my website. And on my website, you can download my keto vegan guide. You can also join my cancer support group, which is 90% cancer patients. There's another 5% of just health advocates that like the way I do things. I see that Mike is trying to log in. Mike, I'm happy to help you with that, Mike, as soon as we hang up here and just get you into the group. The other 5% of the group are spouses of people. And some of them have even lost their spouses and are just here because they don't want it to happen to them. So Beat Cancer With Me is the way to get there. And then I'm on the web doing content as Cancer Thriver Owen on YouTube and on Instagram. And so that's where I'd love for you guys to follow me and be inspired and be a part of the community. We love the WAVwatch community. And I think we're going to see a lot more of Owen and WAVwatch and Owen and Linda and Owen and Joseph all together. So that's exciting too.
Man, thank you. I'm just dropping your links again for your YouTube, Instagram, and your website. And then also, if you don't have a WAVwatch yet, here is Owen's discount code. So if you want to get a WAVwatch, and this has been incredibly valuable for me and hopefully for you, then purchase one with this link. You get $100 off, and that will also support Owen.
There's just so much meat to what was here, whether someone's dealing with this or not. But cancer is, unfortunately, Kevin Bacon, is 6 degrees. Everybody knows somebody that's been affected by cancer. And so while this might not be exactly in my life at this moment, I'm sure that at some point it will be. And whether it's me directly or someone that I know. And so this has been really valuable, and thank you for sharing. And then also there were quite a few comments about like, how does this exactly relate to the WAVwatch? And the truth is that, again, it's holistic, and it's us also nodding and realizing that there's not one magic bullet for one's health. And the WAVwatch is a part of, it can be a part of things for some people, but it's not the magic bullet, because there isn't one of those things. So.
Yeah. It's a great tool. I didn't come across the WAVwatch until recently, but as the layer has been unpacked, the WAVwatch provides this tool that has never been seen in the marketplace before. And I took it home with a lot of skepticism, guys. A lot of people approach me and say, hey, you're on YouTube. Will you look at our thing? And I say, yes, I'd be happy to take your thing. But I don't talk about it publicly unless I believe in it. I watch the WAVwatch not only work for me and my liver. I have a liver. I've told you guys about my liver issue. I have a liver issue, and I watched that WAVwatch provide me with relief within 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And then my daughter, she's got a weird condition on her head. She concusses easily. She doesn't always get a concussion, but a bump on the head it could knock her out for 4 hours, meaning that she's just not in a place to do much. So I put the WAVwatch on her, and as she had an incident, put the WAVwatch on her, and I called you guys immediately. Within 45 minutes, she was sitting up, and that was on the brain, like the brain health one, or the brain calming the brain down. So I've seen this thing in action, and I've never seen anything like it. And so it's just really exciting to be a part of what you guys are doing.
We're honored as well. And thank you so much for coming on. And we look forward to getting to know you more as we continue to work together. So
right on. Thank
you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.